Okay, we are continuing on with our notes for 7.3, and I did email everybody to remind you last week that we did have 2 more problems after this, and apologize for that so we'd know. So we're working on 7.3 today. If we need to go in tomorrow, we can. Otherwise, at some point, whenever we get done with 7.3, we will just have work time until the band and choir trip is over. So, and then homework 7.2, we're theoretically going to check today. After I do the notes, if you're ready to check that, we will. Or we might wait till tomorrow because maybe we'll have a little more work time for that at that point. And then 7.3 homework check will be on Wednesday. And then Wednesday, we'll all be back together and kind of going on. So we had this equation. We put information in there. And I sort of a little bit forgot exactly what happened. So this, and I'll write in yellow a minute just to kind of bring myself back to where we are. This is our system of equations, and then we did this step 1 where we took -2 E1 plus E2, and then that gave us this. So we've gotten rid of the A that's right there. And so now our next job is to take this first equation, E1 times -9, and then we're adding that to E3, and that will make this drop out. So now I kind of just have remembered where everything is. Now I'll get rid of all this yellow and go through that process. So I'm even going to put this down a little further so I can just see where I'm working here. There we go. So for this one, -9 times E1 is going to be -9A minus 18V0 minus 18S0 equals maybe -9 36. Am I right there? And then when I do this one, 9A plus 6V0 plus 2S0 equals 40. And then when I combine like terms, the A's drop out. -6 times V's, or negative, or -18V0 plus 6 is -12V0, and then -18 S0 plus 2 is -16S0, and then equals, what's -936 plus 40? -896. 4, no, 896. And so then I have that equation, and I'll just write my 3 equations now. I have A plus 2V0 plus 2S0 equals 104. -2V0 minus 3S0 equals -156. And -12V0 minus 16S0 equals -896. What should I do next? Middle one. Okay, yes. I was like, wait, the top of those two. Okay, so the middle one times -6. So I'll just go to another color. Step 3. So that's -6 times E what? 2 plus what? E3. So I'll just go through that, and you can always make a decision. I am kind of doing the long, stuff out. In practice as a student, I would maybe, do a little messier work here. Do you know what I mean? And kind of get my answer. But in this case, I'm writing everything out, so I'm less likely to make a mistake. And mistakes do happen. That's the trickiest part of all of this. So that will give me what? 12. Go ahead. 12V0. Yep. So multiply by -6, what's the next one? S0 plus 18 S0, S sub 0. And I don't know what negative 6 times negative 156 is. Equals 936. And then I've got my negative 12 E sub 0 minus 16 S sub 0 equals negative 896. Help me add those two together then. What do I get here? 2S sub 0 equals, and what's 936 minus 896? 40. Positive 40 this time. And so actually, look at what we've got. We've got two of those. So I might right now say to myself, I think I want to get everything in row echelon form. And so what would I do for this one? Divide by 2. So that means S sub 0 equals 20, correct? And can I, at the same time, before I write this, nah, I'll just write it right now. So that's A plus 2 V sub 0 plus 2 S sub 0 equals 104. Negative, oh, just a second, bad line up. Negative 2 V sub 0 minus 3 S sub 0 equals negative 156. And S sub 0 equals negative, oh, positive 20. Now, is that in row echelon form? No, but it's super close, right? Yes? I'm just going to divide E2 by 2. But since I have two people not here, I'm just going to say that. So 1/2 times E2. Say it again. Oh, very good. Negative 1/2. Negative 1/2 times E2. And that's what I'm writing, but I'm not going to write that out. I'm just going to do it. Is that okay? So I get A plus 2 V sub 0 equals 2 S. Just kidding. A plus 2 V sub 0 plus 2 S sub 0 equals 104. This one, when I multiply by 1/2, then what's my first term going to be? V sub 0. And then what's my next one going to be? Plus 3/2 S sub 0 equals, what's that last term going to be? Got it. What is it? What's negative 1/2 times negative 156? 78. And S sub 0 equals 20. So now, do you agree that it is now in row echelon form, correct? And do you agree that I can now find A, V sub 0, and S sub 0, right? And so step 5, I'll just write, find A, V sub 0, and S sub 0. Oh, and so S sub 0. So for this one, S sub 0 is 20, so we know that S sub 0 is 20. And V sub 0 plus 3/2 times 20 equals 78. Well, let's see, V sub 0 plus, what's that? 30 equals 78. So what's V sub 0? 48. Then A plus 2 times 48 plus 2 times 20 equals 104. So A plus, what's 2 times 48? Plus 2 times 20 is 40 equals 104. What's 96 plus 40? And what's A equal? So now our answer is this triple. And our triple here, I would give it as A, V sub 0, and S sub 0. And that is 20, 48, and negative 32. oops. And then we have to go way back to, oh, yes, I did. Yes, thank you very much, because I would not have wanted to make that mistake. So it's negative 32, 48, and 20. I was writing them in order that way, and I should have gone this way. So then we have to go back to our original rule that said S equals 1/2 AT squared plus V sub 0 t plus S sub 0. And so that was our original equation. Just remember how we went through this system. So we had this equation. We knew some T and S pairs that matched. So we really put in T and S's. And then we solved this system for A, V sub 0, and S sub 0. So now we're going to rewrite it with S and T as variables. So we collected data from for S and T to kind of see what happens. So what's a half of A going to be? Negative 16 T squared plus 48 T plus 20. And why is that comforting that I have negative 16? Or maybe it isn't. No. Oh, I was just thinking of gravity. So 9.8 what? Meters per second. Do you know what it is in feet per second? Okay. No, that's all right. Never mind then. And okay, so these are all divisible by 4, but if I do divide by 4, I'd have to divide both sides by 4. So this would be then S divided by 4 equals that. So I personally would just leave it like this as our kind of, that's our situation that we want for this one. Then the next two are problems kind of related to this. And so here's number 8. And that's just all this work as we go through. Now, this one is the same kind of problem. Do you want to try it yourself, or do you want to do it together? We want to do it together? Okay. All right, but then I'll ask you how we're going to do this. So this is the exact same kind of problem, just a different, situation, actually less of a situation. So y equals ax squared plus bx plus c is the quadratic equation that we're starting with. And we want to find a quadratic equation whose graph passes through the points -1, 3, 1, 1, and 2, 6. Do you agree that those three ordered pairs are XY ordered pairs, correct? Okay, so we have to figure out what A, B, and C are. So that's kind of our, and can we get 3 equations and 3 unknowns? Okay. So I'll give you a minute to write the problem. And you'll like this one. One of the reasons I asked you if you wanted to do it is this one is not as awkward or as big a numbers or hard to do as the last one was. So if x equals -1, y equals 3, and if x equals 1, y equals 1, and if x equals 2, y equals 6. Those are our ordered pairs. Now I'll put in x's and y's here. And again, can I move that y back to the back, right? Is that okay? I mean, it really doesn't matter, but we're just used to kind of seeing it that way. So that would be a times -1 squared plus b times -1 plus c equals y, which is 3. And then a times 1 squared plus b times 1 plus c equals y, which is 1 again. And then a times 2 squared plus b times 2 plus c equals y, which is 6. And then now I'll clean that up. And you can tell me what my equations are. Riley, you can tell me what the first equation is. So what's negative 1 squared? Just 1. So you would just say A, right? Okay. And what's the next one going to be, Madison? A plus B plus C equals 1. And Ben, the last one is what? And so do you agree that, this one looks a little better uh, or a little easier, I guess is how I should say. So there's my system. And I'm just going to go through my steps. What should step 1 be? Okay, so kind of E1 minus E2, is that how you want to do it? Okay, and can we just do that and write the answer? I think so. A minus B plus C equals 3. And then Ellie, subtract those two equations there. So 2b equals negative 2. So that's kind of going to be pretty easy to get in row echelon form. And then I'm just going to leave the 4a plus 2b plus c equals 6. My lining up is a little squished. What do you want to do in the next one, Sammy? What should we get rid of? I would get rid of that 4a next. How can I get rid of that 4a? What am I going to multiply this by and then add? Negative 4e1 plus e3. And that one I'll kind of just do over on the side here. So I get negative 4a plus 4b minus 4c equals negative 12. And then the other one I'll just write 4a plus 2b plus c equals 6. Oh, I did not line those up very well, but that's okay. So then I get 6b minus 3c equals negative 6. So now I'm pretty close for some of these to be in row echelon form. So I'm going to just rewrite the first equation, a minus b plus c equals 3. Can I do something with this next one right away? Does anything do you notice anything about the middle one? Yeah, and then I'm just going to add that to this step. Multiply E2 times negative what? 1/2, right? By negative 1/2. And what will that give you? B equals, this was 2 though. Yep. B equals negative 1. Do you agree? So essentially dividing by 2. And then this one I got to be 6b minus 3c equals negative 6 at the moment. And what's the easiest way to get rid of this 6b that's down here? Divide by 6. Yeah, then I get a fraction, so it wouldn't get rid of it. Then I would just have 6. I want to completely get rid of that 6b. What can I do? Negative 6 times E2, right? And then add what? And add E3. So can I do that in my head, do you think? Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. So A minus B plus C equals 3. And this one is just going to stay B equals negative 1. And when I multiply that by negative 6, can I do that in my head? That'll be negative 6b plus 6b is 0, right? And nothing minus 3b is just minus 3b, or minus 3c, excuse me, equals, and then negative 1 in E2 times negative 6 is positive 6, correct? And 6 minus 6 is 0. And now I maybe should have written it over there, because what do I do to get that in row echelon form with that last one? Yeah. So step 4 is going to be take negative 1/3 times E3. And then that is going to give me A plus B plus C equals 3. B equals, oh, thank you. Boy, why I just don't even write what I have there. A minus B plus C equals 3. B equals negative 1. And then when I divide there, what's C equal? 0. So this one's pretty easy to solve, right? For my, now it's in row echelon form. I'm just going to write that a little better. And so now C is 0, B is negative 1. So A minus B, which is negative 1, plus C, which is 0, equals 3. So A plus 1 equals 3. What's A equal to? 2. So my 3 points are 2, negative 1, 0 as A, B, C. And then I can't see it anymore, but wasn't it y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, right? Do you agree? And by the way, do you recognize that equation as a general form of a standard form of an quadratic equation? So for this one, y equals 2x squared minus x, and then plus 0, but we don't have to write that. Well, I'll write it because people are gone, and then y equals 2x squared minus x. So that will be the solution. Pretty straightforward, right? Okay, so now the next one is actually from a homework problem, because people got to the homework problem and then all of a sudden were like, oh my gosh, I have no idea how to start this. But I'm going to use this one as our example. So really, we know that a general form of an quadratic equation can be y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, right? I mean, so technically they might not have had to tell us that as we go through, and we were given some values here as we looked at that. And so in this case, we're going to kind of make up some numbers as we go. And since we're not given a lot of guidance, we just need it to be something that will work. So this is from the homework number 79. So it's probably not assigned, but it's wherever somebody had asked me at some point. So we want to find two systems of linear equations with this ordered triple as a solution, 3, negative 4, 2. And so do you agree that there's unlimited set of circumstances that we could come up with? I'm not saying we could use anything at all, but there could be all kinds of ways that we could get that as an answer, correct? And think about it as, like here's a coordinate axis. Think about it as 2 dimensions. Think about this point 1, 2. And if I were asked to come up with 2 lines that have that as a solution, do you agree that, I could have the 2 lines go like that, or, I could have 2 lines that went like this. Oh, well, if they actually went through that point. I could have a perpendicular lines, and I could have perpendicular lines that weren't like that. So there's an unlimited amount of solutions. So you have to wrap your head around that. And then we have to kind of think about, just like that quadratic, something super general. So here's going to be my super general equation. AX plus BY plus CZ equals D. And these are X, Y, and Z. So I have to come up with things that are going to give me equations as I go. So I get to make up. I get to make up um, A, B, and C, and then I have to find D. Because I can make up A, B, and C and kind of think about like those lines I was having before. And maybe I should have left that on there. So if it was two-dimensional and I want to hit this, do you agree I can make up any line at any tilt, so to speak, right? But then I have to make sure that the line that's parallel to that hits through there, right? So I have to find the D that's going to match it as I go through. So I just made up, anything I wanted to make up. And I'm going to make up the same things so I know mine's going to work. So I'm going to let A equal 5, B equal 1, and C equal 3. I just made it up. I don't care. And what do X, Y, and Z have to be in order to make it cross through that? They have to be 3, -4, and 2, correct? So do you agree if with my made up numbers, I can put in every variable except D? And then I can find the D, right? And then I'll get an A, B, C, D with numbers equation, and I'll have, uh, what one of my 3 equations that I need. So X, Y, and Z. So that means 5 times 3 plus 1 times -4 plus C 3 times 2. Was that a 2? Is equal to D. So figure out what D is equal to, or in this situation. 17. So 17 equals D. So that gives me, in my system that I'm going to use, my first equation, which is going to be 5x plus 1y, which is just y, plus 3z equals 17. And how I did that? So I just got to make up A, B, and C, use my X, Y, and Z to find D, and then I have one equation. So what do? That same process. How many? I have 3 unknowns, X, Y, and Z, and I have to have how many equations? 3 equations, right? And so I've got my first one. Now for my second one, I just make up something again. And I'm just making it up so I can make up whatever I want. Obviously, if like one of those was a fraction, I would pick, a number that would make the fraction cancel or something. So I just let A equal 2, B equal 1, and C equal 3. What? This is going to be system 1. So this will be one system. And then I would just do the same, essentially I do it 6 times to get my 2 systems. So then this one is, oops, I just kind of keep having to see that. So 2 times 3 plus 1 times -4 plus 3 times 2. Notice, did I change a lot there? No, I just changed one number and I'm good to go. And that's D. What's this D? And so equation 2, oh, I could have left that one, I could have put that one in green. Let me make that one green so that it kind of matches what was there. And then this one I'll write in blue. So this one is 2x plus y plus 3z equals 8. So there's my second equation. And then for my third equation, I'm just going to use my space over here because that'll just make it easier. I let a equal 1, b equal -2, and C equal 4. Probably the first year I did this, I asked students, but now, I just have things that work and I can copy them off my notes. So same thing, 1 times 3 plus -2 times, I lost my spot, -4, thank you, plus 4 times 2 is equal to D. And what's D this time? Everything's positive, so it's actually going to be a little bigger than that. 19, I heard it whispered. 19 is equal to D. So then my third equation can be 1x, or just x, minus 2y plus 4z equals 19. Now, if I wanted to, torture myself, I could actually make sure this system gives me that answer, right? Which is what we've been doing, right? I could go through that process and make sure that worked. And maybe if I was taking a test, I would actually do that or something. But really, or I could just more simply, since I have the answer, I should be able to put in 3, -4, and 2 for x, y, and z, and they should all be true, correct? I mean, if I've done that work. So that's a unique question, though. Do you agree? It's different than everything that we've had. Before, we've had a system and we've had to find the solution. And now they're giving us a solution and we have to find the system. And so this is one system. And on the homework, it asks you to find 2 systems. So then you just make up your own A, B's, and C's, find D, and you've got it. Do you agree? Okay, so you have about 10 minutes to work today. Or check the homework.